Rahul Vadodkar, 1985 mechanical batch. Welcome to the first ever NITRUS Talks. Um, when I was thinking about organizing a series of talks, I thought of a name and I said, "Oh, NIT Raipur, US," and became NITRUS. So that's what I thought of the name. Doesn't have to be forever. We can think about it, but just to create a catchy name, I created that. It doesn't restrict us to only US. It's available to global alumni, from NIT Raipur. And the purpose is this: that we have so many accomplished people, and you will meet three of them today. So many accomplished people from our college that they have tremendous knowledge, and we can share this knowledge in one small bits at a time, like 1 hour at a time, and benefit other people. And offline, people can connect with them and then get more knowledge, more information. So idea is to do something like this on a monthly basis so that we all can share the knowledge. Different areas, today is about job search. Then we can have patent, we can have immigration, we can have healthcare, and etc. So we will have several such talks. So this is the first one, so welcome. We would like to thank a lot of people. First of all, Tapasda. He's the he has single-handedly brought everyone together. I remember several years ago when he called me and then he started creating those spreadsheets. And he has not given up until now. So he has collected so many people together. Even today, he sent me a request to reach out to one person and include her into our group. So first of all, thank you so much, Tapasda. If you are in the meeting, that's great. If not, I will हाथ जोड़ के प्रणाम करते हैं आपको, sir. And in our association, Sunil Agrawal sir took president role, and he is really driving it well. Several people, Anand Parihar, Komal Parakh, Mahesh Chandak, Siddharth Tungia. There are several people to name, and of course, one Prakash Mishra. He's our secretary, and he never sleeps. Even at his 2 o'clock night, I will send him a message that, can you please verify if this person is a genuine member of our college? And within 15 minutes, I get a message from him, yes, sir, or no, sir, whatever. So that's great. So let me start the introducing the panel. So we have Sumit Tripathi. He's from 1996 batch, mining, and he works for Wells Fargo and Global Payment Solutions, and he has a lot of experience. So he's going to be talking today about job search and some tricks and some tips. We have Gajendra Pandey from 2000 batch, one of the most active persons in Dallas Meet, and he carries his batch together. Very dynamic person, and he's also going to be talking in future on some other topic. But right now, he's talking about how to pursue. So a couple of things he will talk about. He did his graduation in 2000, went to IIT Kanpur to do masters, and then so he followed me. Like I did mechanical 85, and I went to IIT Bombay, but I stopped there. I got tired. Gajendra, no, he doesn't get tired. So he did PhD from Stony Brook, and guess what? After that, he did postdoc from Oklahoma State. So he doesn't stop. So he's the right person to talk about it today. And he has worked with Dassault System, Owens Corning, Coca-Cola, and now is Sonaco. So thanks, Gajendra, for giving all that information. And then youngest is Samir Ranjan, but not youngest in terms of achievements. You will be blown away by knowing what he has done. So he graduated in 2017, 1 year after my son. My son graduated in 2016. 2017 graduate. He opened a lot of businesses in India and USA. Currently, he's a founder of Catenate, and they help with various things. He might introduce himself about that. And he has done a lot of work with VCs. He raised funds, valuation of up to $100 million. And very fun fact is he was selected 25 under 25. And also he does consulting in his spare time. He has a full day job. And then in his spare time, he consults with Dallas Mavericks and Cowboys. So if anybody wants tickets, you know where to go. And so one of the youngest alumni is Archit Oja. He's helping me today. He is also one of those, like Samir Ranjan. Maybe a few years after that, we'll be introducing him like that. We very young, very enthusiastic person. He also has been representing our college or India in BRICS Young Meet. I don't know exactly the full name of that, but he has been, and also 30 young people from Asia. He was selected by Harvard. So very talented group here. I'm the least talented of all. So without taking too much time, I will hand it over to Samir. So first, Samir will talk about his ideas, and then Gajendra will talk about PhDs and other pursuits, and Sumit will wrap it up with his expertise. So, Samir, take it away.
Thank you so much, sir, for the introduction. And as I sent Rahul sir my introduction yesterday, and he said like, "Kis chakki ka atta khate ho bhai?" And I was like, I was just thinking like, nothing would have been possible if I was not part of NIT Raipur cohort. I joined in 2013, right? And we joined with JE Mains, which was not the case with most of you because uh, as I can see, like most of you are elder than me. And at that time, we had the option, right, like to choose other colleges apart from NIT Raipur. And I just felt on the last day that okay, let's go to NIT Raipur because I was from Bhilai, and I think like it's very easier to do train up and down, and I can eat home food daily, right, for 4 years. And that 4 years changed my perspective about everything, uh, right from the career to working with people. And I got to work with some amazing people in those 4 years, including Samir Vajpayee, sir, because I was handling training and placement department along with him. And that's where my zeal for helping others came, basically, where because placement is something which is nowadays the biggest thing that anybody goes into the college, right? People don't go for education, but they go for a career and a job. So that's what was the first thing that happened. And uh, yeah, I wanted to do something about it. So 7 year down the lane, I wrote a book which is Resume and ATS, how the ATS system works and how the resume should be. I'll be sharing my screen so that I can go deep dive into it. Okay. I hope you can see my screen, which is the first thing is why you should invest your next few minutes, right? We all are in a capitalist country, and here every minute is a dollar unit. So which is I'll tell you the why, because I have created the software which integrates with Workday and PeopleSoft, right, which has 70% of the ATS market coverage. I work with recruiters around the world, which is not just USA and India, because my software is basically helping out recruiters and organization to find out the people, right people in their organization and whom they should hire and what kind of profile they should look for, right? I have crafted the backend system for most of the ATS firms that are available in the US right now. I work with leadership coaches, and I am working very closely with few universities, which is across the United States. And I have seen students and professionals up closely who are trying to do something about their job and the career and the mistakes that they do while finding a job. So let's start on it, which is the first thing, that understanding the job, right? We all are here, uh, most of us who came on F1 visa, we promised that to the our visa interviewer that we want to study here and then come back to the India, right? But that's not usually the use case, because we want to pay off the loan and then we like the country and then we want to stay here, right? The only problem is we never think of career, right? We think of job, and job is very different than what you have on resume, and it is far different than the career, right? My career can have 10 different roles, it can have 10 different skills, right? It might not be the only thing that for example, I learned data science 4 years ago, right? Data science might not be required in the next 4 years, right? Then I have to upskill myself, and then I have to again go through that route, right? But one thing is sure, that uh, everybody defines their career by what they are doing today and what they are striving to achieve tomorrow. So that is something which is very, very, very important to understand, and that's what makes you important. That's what make you different in the interview process. Now, second is the hiring process, right? Hiring process is something which people don't understand, and why they don't understand, because if I see, and I can show it to you right now also on a LinkedIn, if there is, let's say, a role available, director of data engineering, right? Director of, let's say, operation manager role is there, right? At least 1,000 people will apply to it, right? But if you look at their job description and what is their required qualification, out of that, 90% won't be able to qualify. What's the problem? Problem is people don't pay attention to the details, the basics of what the job requirement is, right? Now, the third and the most important thing is the market, right? Market is playing iffy this year. We don't know whether uh, the bad economics is there or bad market is there, because every other month something new happens, and whole scenario of the economy changes, right? Some years ago, the US market would define how the Indian market will do, right? But now we look at the Indian market, we look at the Chinese market, we look at the European market, we look at the impact of Ukraine and Russia war on the US economics, right? So it is very important to understand with what you are doing, whether that economics of the situation support it or not. You might be doing agricultural engineering, and nobody is going to hire agriculture engineer for, let's say, next 10 years, right? Then it is the waste of that time that you did, and then you can mindlessly apply to any role, any jobs. You won't be able to break through. Then there is something which I often call, it is like myths, right? People say apply at 5 a.m. in the morning, or people say apply at 5 p.m. in the morning. People say if you apply in the September, there is a huge probability that you'll get internships in the summer. Or they say if you'll apply in the January, you'll get a full time by May, right? These are the things which doesn't happen, right? This is basically a straight up probability. Let's say there is one role and there are 10 candidates they want to interview, right? Even if there is, like, you apply and there is like 10,000 applicants out of it, right? The probability is still 1 out of 10,000, right? And there will be 9,999 people who are going to get rejected, right? But when you look at the stats, out of 9,999, 90% of the people won't even qualify in the first range itself, which is basically, whether are you looking at the right salary, are you looking at the right qualification, or are you looking at the sponsorships, which is the problem with most of us, right? If we are looking for a job which requires a sponsorship, recruiters often don't understand the legality of the situation, right? And then they even say that they might not look for you, right? Which is because even if you are on your OPT or CPT, it won't make sense for them to invest on you if you are not a long-term employee. And that's just the economics of, again, economics of the situation, because you are a cost to a company. If my cost is not going to be turned into a revenue over a period of time, you're not worth investment, right? And usually it was the case of demand and supply, but things have changed in the last few years, right? With the visa rules and all those things. Now most of the people are coming to United States, so we don't have a supply problem anymore. We have a demand problem, because there might be one job and there might be 100 applicants for it. Now the most important thing is mental health in all this aspect, right? Most of the student or professional with whom I talk to, they often say that we are getting demotivated. We don't want to live in this country anymore, because we are applying to thousands of jobs and we are not hearing back anything. Again, it goes back to the basics, because are you qualified enough to get that job? If the answer is yes, then there is a chance that you might get that interview call. But if you yourself think that you are 70% fit for the job, system will also think you are 70% fit for the job, and you're not going to get any call for any kind of interview, because on paper people have to be perfect, then only they get to the next level, right? Again, networking plays a very critical role. In US today also, around 70 to 80% of the job roles are filled by networking. So if you have a referral, if your company has a referral system, or where you are trying to get a job that has a referral system, that will get priority, because the way system gets weightage is referrals is always the higher weightage than your experience or than your education, right? And the second most important thing that you need to understand from the company perspective is what they are looking for in their employees, right? And not just from your technical skills, because to be very honest, all the resumes that I see for, let's say, I hire data scientists, I hire marketing people, I hire sales people. If they are fresh out of college, even at a master's level, everybody's resume is same, right? Because they might have done 4 projects, which if you look at the catalog, out of 20 projects across the US, everybody has that 4th project, right? They might have same certification, they might have same skills, right? So you need to understand what that company is looking in terms of soft skills and personality, because that's what will make you break through that first barrier, which is your interview. And second, which like the last thing which I ask everyone to do is, like, there is a question, right? When we used to get, when we were 12 years old, our teachers will ask, like, what do you want to become when you grow old, right? That is something you should constantly ask yourself, because that defines your career, not that what education you have or what kind of skills you have on your resume. Right? Now let's deep dive a little bit more into the resume, right? Because that's what the first hurdle is, right? Uh, People usually interchangeably use resume and CV as 2 words, right? But it is not. Uh, Resume is very different than a CV, right? Resume is very precise. It has to be in one page, and it has to have the glimpse of what you have all done, right? All the bigger highlights. Where CV is very detailed one, but today we are not talking about CV, so I'll just stick to the resume part, right? Which is, resume has 4 parts, right? Which is core skills, which is all the tools and technology that you know. And tools and technology is integral part of each and every job nowadays, right? Even if you're looking to become a salesperson, you need to know the sales tool, right? Let alone everything has IT involved to it. Yeah, I saw last week, we were trying to hire a marketing manager, right? Marketing manager needs to understand the current marketing tool. And due to the outburst of OpenAI and ChatGPT earlier this year, there are now multiple tools in the field, right? And people who will succeed in the next few years are not the people who know how to build those tools. Those will be the people who know how to use those tools. So that is the biggest gap right now in the market, because we have a lot of builders, but we don't have a lot of people who know how to use those tools. Being said that, the second thing is experience, right? For example, let's say in a job responsibility, if you're looking, it is written, we are looking to hire somebody who has 3 to 5 years of experience. 90% of the time, the badge goes to the 5 years of experience. It's not because 3 years of experience is not up to the mark. It is usually a range, right? And we always try to again understand the what will be the unit economics of investment on a person who is 3 years of experience and a 5 years of experience, right? In every interview, people try to understand how rigid you are and how flexible you are. If you are someone who can understand the job responsibility and learn the things that are required to be best in that job in the most quickest of the time, uh, things are much easier, and things are you will be preferred over someone who is very rigid. Third comes the education. Education is something which is, again, it has 2 aspects to it, right? Education from a very prestigious university, and education from a so-so university, which is usually, like, let's say, 100 to 300 ranked universities, right? And top 100 is like top education universities. The problem with education is there is no quantifiable method to differentiate whether a Harvard graduate is different from a UT Dallas graduate, because that person can also get 4 out of 4 GPA, and you can also get 4 out of 4 GPA. But I won't be able to tell whether you are more, you have something more than that Harvard guy, or you have something less than that Harvard guy. But it all comes down to whom you are getting the interview with. there is always the relatability factor, which is when you're talking to someone. For example, if somebody from an IT rapport comes to me in an interview, that person is going to get favored because it has some recall value, right? Which we often call human bias, right? It's a conscious bias that we have. And since most of you have been in America much longer than I have been, you know about how the bias system works, right? And that is something which cannot be eradicated by any AI system in the world, because that's how you train the data also, right? So it will have the bias. The fourth system is certifications, which is basically, for example, if you are trying to get a project manager role and you don't have, let's say, PMP certification, right? And somebody has PMP certification, that person is going to get benefited with that certification alone, because professional certification do matter in in landing a job rather than finding a job. So that these are the four parts. Now, why these four parts are necessary? That's how the parsing works, right? You must have heard about ATS system. ATS is nothing other than application tracking system. It has nothing to do with your resume, and it has nothing to do with how it behaves. There is another system which we call, uh, which we call resume parser, which basically takes out the different part of the resume, and it basically divides it into bunch of different keywords, right? But now this is what people know till this point, that it is keyword to keyword matching, but that's not the truth. Why it is not the truth? Because keywords are useless without context, right? You can write like predictive analytics, you can write data modeling, you can write operation management, you can write timesheet. It doesn't mean anything in the world until unless there is a context attached to it. But what do I mean by the context? It means how did you use that tool or algorithm or that technical word into your day-to-day life to gain some output. uh, the way we are designing the software nowadays doesn't just match on the keyword. It matches on the context of what you have written, right? We always think that it is simply simplistic keyword to keyword match. That's not the case anymore. We are not fools, right? Like most of the software designers are not fools. They are someone who are creating this system, right? So they understand like how people think and how they try to cheat the system. So there is always one step upgrade onto how we can add more contextual engineering, the natural language processing system, into our software, so that now it understand what you have written, whether it is just bunch of words separated by commas, or it is a word with a meaning attached to it, which has some impact. Now, the one thing which we always tell people to do a star format, right? Which is what it means is like why you did what you did and how did it impacted the job that you did. If you are not writing in that format, then it is bunch of keyword that you have written, which is going to get omitted by the system. And when you write, people usually try to focus too hard on the metrics, which is 32%, 47%, 41%. It doesn't mean a thing in the real world. Even if you did a 99% impact on a job, I won't know as a system that it was a 99% good or 99% bad. So
Sumit,
instead of focusing on number, people should often try to focus on why they did, what
Samir,
algorithm they used,
Samir,
or
sorry to bother you.
Samir, sorry to interrupt. There are some people who are waiting for to be admitted. Can you please check?
And
Sorry about that.
or if you can make us admin, we can let them
Yeah,
in
if
while
you make
you
me an
talk.
admin or Chetas Sumit admin, we can do that.
okay,
Excellent. Thank you.
let me make you admin. Make,
Yeah, that will be great.
Okay. Thank you, Sumit.
Thank you very much.
okay.
Yeah.
Sumit sir,
Continue.
you okay? Great. So yeah. So basically, uh, what I'm trying to say is matching is very contextual, and you need to add layers into your context, by which I mean that the sentence that you are writing in your resume has to have more than just keywords, right? And then we usually use weights, right? What weights mean is there might be few companies which are looking very heavy on people should have at least a PhD, right? They are the people who are looking for very heavy on education side because they're looking for a researcher kind of a role. Then there might be companies who are just looking at the, okay, this person should know 50 tools, right? Those will have higher weights on the skill. And then there will be some roles which will be looking for higher experiences. Now, how to understand which job role is looking for education, skill, and experiences? Most of the researchers' job in the current industry is based on the education, right? Because you need to have the depth of a knowledge, right? For example, you want to be somebody wants to hire a data engineer in a very specific space, right? They'll be looking for someone who has depth in that knowledge rather than someone as specific as a data engineer, right? I'm just looking to hire a data engineer, right? I don't care how much in depth you know. I just want you to know that you might know 5 tools which you can do a data translation and data manipulation, right? And there might be some roles which is like manager of data engineering or director of data engineering, where they are looking for someone who has a little bit more white hair, so that they understand how to manage the employees, they understand how to manage the experience of different people who are uh, jointly working with each other. Now, sometimes it might seem very unfair for the people who are just coming out of the college that they are not getting that opportunity just because they don't have enough experience or enough education. They might have all the skills, but uh, that's how the industry works, right? It might not always favor you. And that is true to some senses also, because uh, every investment, every dollar investment is based on the return that you are going to get, right? And returns are still predicted on the very basics method of taking less risk so that you can get higher outcome, which is basically hiring a little more experienced guy into a managerial role so that that person can manage others, or hiring a postdoc or a PhD level candidate on a researcher role so that they're already into that zone of researching and finding out different aspects of the thing so that they can they can understand the job role and find some output. Now the newest thing in the market is profile intelligence, right? These were all things about ATS. With the weights, you'll get a percentage, which is like, are you 70% fit, or you are 80% fit, or you are 90% fit for that job role, right? The new thing is profile intelligence. What I mean by profile intelligence is something which is, let's say, for a job, 100 people applied for a job, right? Among the 100%, how you are standing out, right? It might not be just on experience, because a recruiter doesn't have time, right? There was an opening on Walmart for a manager of data science team, right? There were around 9,865 applicants on it. Okay. And I know the latest data because I work very closely with them. 9,865, right? And only one recruiter is there who is supposed to handle all those things for that role. Now, that recruiter doesn't have time even to go through one job role because they are already doing 20 other things apart from finding the person for that job role. So they'll look for something which is profile intelligence. Now, all the people who are like, let's say 100% fit or whatever the benchmark they have, those percent fit, they'll look into their profile, which will come down to, let's say 100 people now, right? Profile intelligence is where you have worked, what kind of work you have done. For example, are you someone who hopped from one job to another, or are you someone who worked in your whole life in a startup, or are you someone who worked in a single company for the longest time and was on a single role or had 2 3 promotions, right? All these things are now added into system to understand you as a person, which is for example, somebody did their engineering in 1996 and did their masters in 2010. And at that time, for that 14 years they were working as, let's say, they got 3 4 promotions and they will become a senior manager of let's say SPIS, right, which was like a statistics software. Now, after their masters, they came to a managerial role, and now they are working around different tools and technology, which is not relevant to Walmart, right? Now you have all the skills, you have all the experience, you have all the education to be qualified for that Walmart role. But if you are not working on the latest things which are there in the market, which Walmart is looking for, or what they have added as a parameter, you're not going to get an interview call for that, right? And this what surprises people the most, because they think that they have everything correct on the paper, still they were not able to make the cut. And I often say that, right, the final judgment is based on intelligence, right, that is put on the paper, just like matrimony. Today in the morning we were like, people were discussing about the marriage and all those conflict thing, right? And I also wrote something which was very beautiful, which was like, you find a partner who is able to walk with you and you don't fall down the lane, right? It is exactly that is what the ATS system does, right? They try to find out a person who will fit into that their system of people who are already there, and they are not bringing someone who is just going to derail the thing. And it might be, most of the things might be how you have done all the different things till now to get that job, right? Be it your education, be it from where you got educated, be it the projects that you did, be it the workplaces that you applied to. So it all comes down to the basics of the situation, right? How do you find the perfect job and how you fool the system? First thing is, you cannot fool the system, right? This system is evolving. Right? This is like every day it is evolving. People, I see on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube reels, people say in 30 minutes, I'll teach you the tricks that is going to change your, how you are going to find a job and you're going to get the maximum job calls. But if you look at those views, it has million views, right? So it means that million people are already using those tricks, right? You are not going to get any pedigree out of it because million people are already doing that, right? So it basically becomes another useless tool. One of the things that I always emphasis on, read the job description and the qualification that they are looking for. If they say that they have a preferred PhD, they have preferred PhD as an education. If you have a master's and somebody applied as a PhD, you are not going to get that call, because that is one of the filter that they are going to put into their system, and you are going to get rejected out of it, right? So if you read that those things very correctly, you will have a better chance. Now the second problem which often comes is interview, right? Let's say you got selected for a job role, you got the first interview call, right? Nobody prepares for the interview. Why? Because you had all your focus, all your energy on applying to 1,000 jobs and making your resume perfect to fit that job role, right? The problem is, when you go to the interview, you only need one job, right? If we look at it statistically, if you get one interview call, if you convert it to the next round, if you convert it, you might get full-time job in the one go round, right? The getting a job is always a probability of 100 or 0. It is never 80, it is never 70. It is either you'll get it or you won't get it. The problem is, we don't prepare for that interview at all, right? I have heard this from students many times, that they apply for 1,000 jobs, they get 10 interview calls, and out of them they converted one. They have made it like a sales engine, right? That's what we do in sales. We reach out to 1,000 people, out of that 10 say yes and one will buy. That's not how the interview works. If you are qualified enough, if you have all those things, you should be able to convert the interview in the first go round. So again, if I'll just go back to, think about your job rather than resume, and then think about your career rather than job. Then only you will be able to beat this system with what you are doing right now, rather than just applying to most of the jobs and not getting anything out of it. So yeah, that would be all. I have most of the things written in the book also. If you want, I'll just paste the book in the chat and you can have it. And I'll now give the stage back to Rahul sir.
Thank you, Samir. I actually wish I had known this few months ago. In November, I was laid off and spent some time looking for a job. So I know how it is for the people who are struggling to find a job, and it is very difficult market nowadays. And your book and your things will help. So to everyone and all those who could not attend, this is being recorded, so you can go back and listen to it. I'm going to do that definitely. So a few things I found from you, job market is not a sales pitch. That's something that I really gathered, that you have to tailor your application to the actual job. And if there is a requirement which you don't have, just forget about it. Go for something that is bigger fit, and also to prepare for the interview, right? And definitely, Netflix is very interesting, but getting the job is also very interesting. So thank you for sharing this. And for everyone, that resume and ATS book that Samir has written, I bought it and I read it on Kindle. So very useful book. So maybe we can, before going on to Gajendra's talk, why don't we check with Archit if there are any questions, or do we, or should we do it later, Archit? What do you think?
I think it would be great if we can do it at the end.
Okay.
That would make people stick till the end.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So let me, hand over the stage to Gajendra. He is basically Samir has put the side of the candidate as well as the interviewer or the recruiters. Gajendra has been on the other side also, like a hiring manager, so he has that perspective, and he's also going to put some information about how to do PhD. Like I said in his intro, didn't even stop at PhD; he did postdoc. So if somebody is interested in pursuing that, he can give some insight. So Gajendra, take it away.
Thank you, Rahul sir. I just did postdoc because I was not getting the job.
Samir, you came too late.
Yes, you could have come earlier, at least 10 years earlier. Okay, hello everyone. So what I'll do is basically keep it from PhD perspective, and what Samir has shared, it overlaps. But in addition to that, there are a few additional things that goes along with it if you are a PhD candidate after finishing your PhD, if you're looking for a research kind of job. So before that, what I'll do is I'll give you some pointers. Like if you are, most of the people come here for masters, so I would suggest them to keep their options open. Like in the sense that what if along the line, if they decide down the time, if they decide to do PhD, then it's better to keep that kind of options open. And how you do that is basically, I see that most of the people when they come, they just go with the coursework option in their MS. So rather than that, if they just choose the thesis option, I think that will definitely help. And also, in addition to that, try to publish a paper, be it a conference or a journal, because that always makes PhD application stronger. And there are a lot of open source journals as well, where you can submit your work. Suppose if you're working on some side projects and you think that it is something which you like to share with the world, then you can submit your manuscript in the open source journals as well. You don't need the blessing of your advisor or any professor for that. And just to give you an example, my roommate, when I was doing my PhD, he's a great scientist. So he's completely like a scientist with a big hair and all the beard and all those. So he did his PhD in electrical engineering from Stony Brook, and somehow his thought process was completely different. And then he ended up fighting with his advisor. So his advisor was basically kind of not letting him submit any paper. So he started submitting by himself and then started publishing it. So that also helps basically. Not fighting with your advisor, but submit the script on your own. Okay, and also one more thing that helps, basically, if you are thinking about applying for PhD, then the selection committee there basically need to understand that what is your capability, right, and what you have done. So what you could do to make your application stronger is basically do paid or unpaid research assistant position, right? So spend some time. For unpaid, you can just approach any advisor. I mean, if you are doing your master's, you can just knock any professor's door, just ask them that I want to do unpaid research assistantship. Do you have any? And any professor would gladly to take you in. And if you are doing good work, you will get paid for it. Right, so that's how it works. So that was all about like keeping your options open when you are doing your MS. And now switching gear to for those who are pursuing their PhD, right? So what you should do is, what I did effectively is I tried to got involved in as many projects as possible, right? So what it helps, how it helps is basically when you are going for a job in a corporate world, it shows basically what we are looking at essentially is people who can collaborate. One thing. Second thing, people who can work alone as well, right? So if you are getting involved in multiple projects, you will get to know a lot of things about different projects. You will be able to talk, right? So how it will help is basically it will help you through your interview process as well. And I'll tell you in a minute how it will help. So how you should do is basically you should discuss with your other PhD fellows that what they are doing, how they are working. And you don't need to go out of your branch. Just stay in your branch, look for the people, talk to them, discuss your project, ask about their project. If they need any help, go help them. And that will help you if they are publishing a paper, submitting a paper, that will help you to become a co-author as well that way, right? So it always helps down the line. And once you are in your final year of PhD, then you start looking for a job, right? If you are going for faculty position, that's a different story. You have to prepare a different set of resume, not resume, but you have to prepare your CV, in fact. And then you have to write a research statement, you have to write a teaching statement. There are a lot of things that goes in that is basically not relevant for this talk. What I'll tell you about PhD candidate resume from corporate viewpoint. Okay, so now for resume, it doesn't matter what kind of research you have done, what kind of theory you have shot. Okay, I don't care. What I care is, can you explain it? Okay, so don't write the title of your research topic in your resume. Simplify it. Okay, always start with the action verbs, like you have achieved something, you have improved something, or developed something, novel technique, things like that, right? So start with action words. If you don't know what they are, just Google it. You will find tons of those on Google. And then start with that. Open your statement with that. Okay, simplify your topic. Make it more in the form of what you have done. After that, write a sentence or two and to explain what you did in that. You don't need to go in more detail. If I'm interested, I'll ask you. Okay. If you cannot make a good sentence, go to ChatGPT. Whatever you have written, just put it in ChatGPT. It will modify it. It will make it more impactful, right? So feel free to use it. Use ChatGPT. It's a free tool out there. Why not use it, right? So that's there. And then again, don't worry. People say that resume should be one page. Yes, it should be for those who are going for a job where for one position you get 1,000 applications. If a PhD level position comes up, we rarely get resume, okay, that matches for that position. So don't worry about keeping your resume busy. If it is getting busy, let it be like that. When I started my corporate career, my resume started with 2 pages. Right now, since I have worked for so many different projects, now it became 3 pages. It is still not CV. When I go to my CV, it is even very, very long because there I explain all the project in detail. But in resume, I keep it short. Still, it is 3 pages right now. So don't worry about it. Okay, if it is too busy, if I cannot understand, if I'm going to call you for the interview, I'll ask you about that. So you basically need to make people aware that whatever you are doing, you understand it properly, and then you look at its economic from the economic perspective, right? Research is good, but what corporate world needs is, can this research be benefited to make profit out of it? Okay, so when I ask questions to people that what they have done, they always go in more detail in technical part of it. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear that how it is going to give me money, make me money out of it, right? So even if you have done PhD, doesn't matter. It is always all about the money. Okay, if you are going for the corporate world. Okay. So and another thing is most of the PhD level position, we usually don't, or usually companies, they don't advertise it for PhD. They usually say BS with 10 years of experience or MS with 6 years of experience. Don't worry about that. Those positions, if PhD people are applying for those, we will definitely hire, we will definitely interview them. And if they have, if they are capable and if the position is not up to their level, usually in corporate world, the positions usually after hiring people, it get bumped up. Okay. So don't worry about that. Just apply for it and then see how it goes. Okay. And resume. Try to go through the job description. Always try to read between the lines. What are they asking? What actually they are asking? Okay. Generally, these are very broader description. We usually put it in the job application or job description, but don't worry about it. Just try to read through it and then see what they are looking for. And have you done anything like that? If you have, then highlight it in your resume. You don't need to apply like thousands of jobs. If you have a PhD, if you are a PhD candidate, okay, you apply for 100, and then most of the time, if your resume is right, you get almost everywhere you will get the interview call from. And once you get, and also cover letter is a tool, right? In addition to your resume, it's a tool. So most of the time, whatever you have done, you have done. Your resume is like that. You cannot modify your resume completely, but you can modify your cover letter based on the job description, right? So use cover letter as a tool based on what the job description is, and then you modify your cover letter accordingly. Okay. And when you are looking for a job, generally, when you suppose if you know that some company is working in very closely to your research area and you can't find any opening in that company, then try to find some manager or some director, whoever. I mean, if you can find their email ID, just directly send your resume to them. Don't worry about it. Just send it to them. What worse could happen? They won't call you back, right? So just don't worry about anything. Just send your resume if you can find the email ID of any person, because that's how I have received so many resume, and then I just go through it. Okay, so don't worry about it. So just apply for it. And once you get the interview call, usually what happens that the first call is usually from HR. Okay, so HR is trying to gauge that whatever they are looking for, do you have it or not? So you don't need to worry about that call. Just whatever they are asking, just explain what you have done. They are usually taking notes and passing on to the hiring manager, right? So hiring manager goes through it, and then if things are matching that way, then you get a second technical interview call. What happens during that process is they usually 99% of the time they share who is the person going to interview you. Okay, they give all the agenda, your interview agenda, and typically either one or two people usually interview you at a time. Okay, so the good thing is, I mean, you need to be very curious that if you are getting that name of those person, then Google them, see what are their qualifications, what they have done. Okay, and try to remember that. And then during the interview, try to inject slowly. That basically that always helps. That indicates that you have done your research, right? And if they have published any paper, then just go over it, just read through it once. If they have, came up with any new product, any news, if they are in any news, just read through it and then just mention it during your interview. That always helps. That makes your case stronger. Okay, and now. I was telling you that discuss the projects with your colleagues when you are doing PhD, that what they are working on. So during interview, it helps. How it helps is basically any question can come up, right? So, and you can quickly think through that, whatever your friend was doing, does it match with this question or not? And if it does, then you just explain it to them that you have helped in that project to your friend or whoever you have helped to. So don't worry about that you have not helped and still you are telling this to an interviewer, because I don't know what is the truth, right? As long as you can defend it and you can go as far as you can comfortably. So the keyword here is to defend it. So don't worry if that I have to tell only the truth. No, I mean, you can tell a lie in your interview about the project as long as you can defend it. Okay. Also, if the interviewer is going in too technically deep into that question, at any moment of time, you can just back off saying that I cannot reveal more information due to the proprietary nature of the work. Okay, so that always plays in your favor. So remember that. Other thing is about the interview. Yes, eye contact always helps, but don't stare. Just make eye contact and then try to be friendly. Try to understand. If it's a one interviewer, just try to understand how he or she works, day-to-day work goes on, and then try to ask about the team, how they collaborate, and what is the good part of, and try to basically ask, try to convert, turn that table around, right? So the more they talk, the less you will talk. Remember that. So that always helps. I mean, it helped me so far. Also, if you don't know anything, just tell the interviewer you don't know, because the person who is basically conducting the technical interview, he knows or she knows more than what you know most of the time in that specific area. Okay, so if you don't know, just tell them and then just ask permission that if you can give it a try. And if you hit exactly the right spot, they will be happy. And if you don't, then they will try to take you forward. They will try to push it. They will try to give you some hints. So that always helps. And also, whenever you are going for a technical interview, remember that, I mean, most of the time they are also, in addition to the research that you have done and your research mindset, they are also looking for how you basically look it at from the profitability or the economic standpoint as well. Okay, so you have to tailor your answer accordingly. If they are asking to go you in too much technical detail, then you go in technical detail. Otherwise, just try to learn where you need to stop. Okay. And research about the company, but don't try to impress them, because if you go in too much of their profit and earning before profited, I mean, you are not expected to do that. Okay. And research about the company, look for their recent or the newest product, or any paper or any patent which is out there. So if you explain or bring it up during your interview, then that will always help to make your case stronger. And what else? Yeah,
think that's
all I have.
yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just said those are great advice.
Yeah, that's all I have, Rahul, sir.
Okay. Gajen, thank you so much. It was great and actually totally different perspective, because I never pursued from PhD point of view. I don't have one. But few points that you mentioned were very good. Like PhD, very few candidates are there. So it's better to be detailed in your CV so that they know upfront what you've done, and also helping your colleagues is good, because then your area broadens. And the best thing I like about it is send your resume anyway, because a hockey player, Wayne Gretzky, had said that you miss all the shots that you do not take. So I like that very much.
Absolutely.
Great.
Actually, that was one of the example. I mean, first, I after my postdoc, where I started a startup which couldn't take off. I mean, I spent 2 years there. It didn't work out. So I decided to move to corporate. And the first job, that is how I got it. And when I got hired, I told my hiring manager that if I would have gone through the regular panel, I would have scanned out, because I never worked in that specific area at the system. And then they didn't ask me any technical question related to their area. That they had hired me. I don't know why, but these are the things basically I kept in my mind. Whoever was interviewing me, I tried to gather as much information about them as possible, and I was just basically trying to make a conversation during my interview.
Yeah. I mean, skills can be taught. Attitude is what matters. So I think that's a very good point. So we segue into Sumit. He has been waiting. So Sumit, please go ahead and share whatever you want to talk about. Unmute, please. Yeah, very slightly.
I think my Bluetooth,
Okay.
জয়কে বলে দিয়েছি আমি এটা শুনছে একটা জিনিস তোমার কোনো ইম্পর্টেন্ট কথা না
It's still not coming. Yeah, Bluetooth is often a problem sometimes. Maybe battery issue or something.
Can you?
No,
Try
it's not.
disabling, enabling.
Yeah, I removed my Bluetooth, but I think I have some voice issues.
I think it's coming now. We can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, so thanks, sir. And I think Samir covered it a lot from the technical perspective. What I am sharing is my personal experience and my learning so far in last 25 years. So few key things like this, it will look like a GAN, but very key thing. See, job search, resume building is not an option in corporate world. It's a prerequisite to survive. So you cannot say that I have a stable job, I don't need to learn or I don't need to do it. Again, I would like to quote a famous word, right? That keep loving your work, but don't love your company, because you don't know when your company will stop loving you. It happened with me a couple of times when I thought, okay, this is the job where I would like to retire. It it looked so stable, so beautiful, so good. Things turned upside down in a month's time, in a week's time. All of a sudden, top boss changes, something changes, and you feel, my goodness, I have to leave it, or you are kind of forced to leave. Okay, so you have to do now. It's just a fun fact, but what we do on first day of your job at join. When I join a job, new job, the very first day, what you should do. So people will tell a lot of things. I would tell, first thing you do is update your resume that you have a new job, and from that day, keep working on your resume every day. Because after 5 years or 10 years of a stable job, when you start writing resume, it's the most difficult task in the world to put everything into 1 page or 2 page. And I'm telling you, it took me, like recently I started again building my resume for some reason, and it took me 2 weeks to write it and finalize it before I start submitting applications. Yeah. So again, coming to Samir's point, and maybe he can help me, in fine tuning it. But what I learned about the keywords is that, what job you are doing or what role you are in, you are so much engrossed in it, you don't know how outside world perceives you, or how this job or this role is known outside the world and from different names. So I would call it synonym. So I'm in a global payments area, right? Last 25 years, that's what I'm doing. That's my bread and butter. One day, a matching job, 100% matching profile, I applied, payments person. And this guy said, no, 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 we are not looking for payments person. We are looking for a fund transfer person. I said, okay, thank you. Then, please go and find. Because if that job, and as a manager, So I found my skill, payments, global payments person, the skill has got at least 7 synonyms in the world. And some of them are very different. It's like talking, right? If I need a builder, and somebody says, no, 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 I'm not looking for a builder, I'm looking for a construction person. So builder and construction, no match, but they are 100% synonyms. So I will tell you about payments. So my synonyms are fund transfer, electronic fund transfer. Then there is a very different one, wire transfer. Nobody knows as a wire transfer is a payment. There is a money movement, there is a money transfer, there is a cross-border payment. So Samir, maybe you can help that whether we should put all those synonyms in my resume. So what I do, I distribute those words across 2 pages. Sometime I'll highlight, sometime in one of the job description, I say I was managing a global money transfer application. And somewhere, down, I'll say, I was, managing a cross-border offering. So know your domain, know your area, know how this is defined in outside world. So that's my learning. The second one is building your resume. So it's kind of, project management. There is a PDCA life cycle, right? The plan, do, check, and act. I felt that, the first draft you do of your resume is actually, it's just a 50% job. As Samir said, read each job description. That job description will be like your guru who is guiding you. Oh my God, this area you have to write in this particular way. Not only keywords, but even defining those roles. You might be doing 10 things and you are writing only 2 things in your resume. But you have to tell, okay, I'm managing cross-border team, I'm doing this. And second, so this is a continuous feedback loop runs. When you read a job description, you update your resume, you go for an interview, you are kicked out of, out of it, and you're kind of humiliated. The role which you thought is 100% matching, I'm doing, you are rejected outrightly, saying, oh, no, 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 yeah, I think you need, you don't know anything about payments or, anything about your area. So at least 6-7 iteration of this cycle will build your resume so strong, as long as there's a net practice for your internet for your interviews. But your resume will come really shiny one after 6 or 7 iterations of this thing. When you learn outside, how it is looked. So I call it, so time to time, I think you have to keep checking the temperature of water. Go and apply and see, how, whether this job or these skills are hot skills or not, or where you need to improve. I think we are, top of the hour. So, but I'll take one more thing that, during job search. So one thing which happens, right? If you are in desperate need of job search, what we do, we are almost 15 hours, we keep searching and applying. So avoid that tunnel vision. Like, okay, that before at 12 o'clock night, I'm looking in LinkedIn and seeing any new job came, reading and applying and all those. Again, morning 8 o'clock, I wake up and, oh, how many new jobs came in the market? You will go into a tunnel vision where you won't be able to think outside the box. So I would advise people who are desperately looking or who are, trying it, keep some time aside for job search. Even if you are unemployed, make maybe, let's say, 9 to 11 morning, I'll apply. I'll do all other things, physical exercise, this, that, regular chores. Okay, evening again, 3 to 4, I will search what happened to my resumes or, where to apply, maybe night. So these are my personal experiences. I won't take much time. Open for any personal counseling if people need. That's it.
Thank you so much, Sumit. This is unbelievably, good. Feedback. I'm having some feedback. Let me check.
Yeah, I think question for Samir was, Samir, should we include cover letter as a must?
Yeah. So Sumit, let me wrap it up and then Archit will take care of questions.
Okay.
So thanks for this, Sumit. Something that you mentioned that really, inspired me is that love your job, not the company. So we have to be 100% loyal where we are working. Somebody's mic is giving feedback, but anyway, so what you do is you work at a company, you don't work for the company. What you work for is your own family, your own self, country, that kind of things. And another thing that you mentioned about synonyms. So it reminded me of a very interesting thing. It was a time when the world was moving from 16-bit computing to 32-bit computing. So one recruiter asked me, have you worked in 32-bit computing? I knew that he did not know what he was talking about. So I said, no, actually, I'm working on it. I'm on 27th bit right now. And slowly, I'll reach on 28, 29, like that. And after, I knew that interview was doomed. But most important thing you mentioned was, in the frenzy of job search, don't forget to live the life. Because you work for your family, yourself, and don't get too hung up on, just keep on trying to do. So with that, I give the floor to Archit. You may have some questions from some people.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a wonderful talk and very, very informative. And yeah, Samir, like I will begin with you. You are like 1 year junior, but like I always learn from you. Yesterday only, I like sent him a message. I sent him my job profile, like my resume, and was like, "Hey, man, I need your comments on this." And he's really helpful. Thank you, Gajendra sir and Sumit sir. We have like. Initially, we did not have a lot of questions, but now there's like a flurry. I'll begin with the first one. This is for Gajendra sir. Actually, I have my batchmate Abhilash Srivastav over here. He's currently pursuing his PhD over there in NIT Raipur, and he is the first batch of startup PhD. So there are now two types of PhDs that people can do in IT. This is the startup PhD, and he has an interesting question. The question that he has asked is, I am pursuing PhD at NIT, so I would like to know how a fresh doctorate student can land corporate jobs in the US. So maybe Gajendra sir or Samir sir, you can like tackle this question.
Yeah, so it's easy. I mean, it's as long as your resume is basically tailored to the job. And when I say tailored to the job, meaning I don't think you will be changing your resume completely, right? For every job, only thing you will be doing is highlighting few things, which is more focused based on the job description, right? And then you will be basically updating your cover letter. And then, yeah, just send it. I mean, don't worry about it that is it in US or in Europe. Just as I said, if the job is open, specifically apply to that position. If it is not open and if you like the company and if you know about the company that it's working in your area and you like to work in that area, specific area, then just try to find some person's email ID and then send your resume and cover letter to that person. People do look at it because in PhD or finding a right PhD candidate is very difficult. And to give you an example, the last company that I left, it took them like 3 years to fill that position. So in PhD, if you are, and as you grow and as you become more focused in the research area, it's very difficult to find another person in that specific area. So yeah, be proud of it and then just openly apply for it. I mean, you are not stealing anything, right? Just a position, you will get it. And as I said, I mean, just
Thank you so
use
much, sir.
the action verbs. And
Thank you so much, sir. That was very informative.
that's fine, yeah.
Also, there was one more question from someone about that they have done their bachelor's in engineering and they are right now working, and they want to do like apply for a PhD in economics, but they do not have a master's. So, do you think that changing fields and applying for PhD in a different field like economics, which is so different, and do not have a master's in that, is that advisable? And if so, how should one approach it?
See, I mean, changing field, there is no advice or anything. If you want to work in any area, just go for it. Okay. If only thing is if you are applying for economics, so how can you make your application stronger? That's the question you should be asking, right? You want to go in economics or you want to go in mathematics. It's your decision, your personal decision. Okay. Now, how will you make your application stronger? You can show your intent, right? That you can and you want to do it, and how you will do it. If you can do some projects, or if you can do some research assistantship, or anything related to any research activity that you have done or you are currently doing related to that specific area. It doesn't matter from which area to which area you want to switch. It's your own personal opinion. In my opinion, I would say.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So, Samir, there are some questions that have been lined up for you, and especially by Surat, sir. He has asked like 3 questions, and I'm gonna ask them one by one. The first question is, what companies expect the candidate to know about them? Like, it's a very broad area. Should they know about the specific product, any specific tech they are working, and like a lot of things are very hard to know. You can't certainly get to know everything about the company, financials and the product. So what the companies expect? What do you think?
Right. So there are two parts to it, right? There are few hiring managers, or let's say the at the end, like few people try to just shatter you, right? Because you're coming from a very different mindset. You prepared for all the technical questions, your experience, right? They want to throw you a curve ball, which is okay. Do you know about this role? Because to be very honest with everyone, nobody is supposed to know about that company or that role at all, because you cannot do that, right? Because whatever is available, it's on Google, right? Or it's on Wikipedia, which is half of it like third person written. So there is nothing you can know about that company in depth. But yeah, you should at least know that where you are applying. There in every website, the company has about section, right? So read that about section, which will give you 30,000 feet view about what that company is. right? And these are some curveball which you never get judged on, right? I just want to share my screen because I saw some of the question and I just want to show one thing, which is what these companies get, right? At the behind the ATS, what the system looks like, right? Because this is the most interesting thing. Everybody wants to know like what ATS does, right? So this is our platform, but this is almost all the platform looks like, right? Which is, if you can see my screen, you can see like we'll get like how many people are perfectly fit, how many people are poor fit, how many are neutral, and how many are good fit. And this is about the employees, right? And this is about the candidate. So you'll see most of the candidates or most of the people who are trying to get the job, they'll be in like good fit to perfect fit. But the people who get the call are usually in this range. So let's say I'll just show you someone like this, right? This guy, right? So this is one of the guy, and then there are roles, which are different roles are there, and he is right now matching 0% on everything. But see the
I'm not
highlight.
seeing your screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see you.
Great.
It's
Great.
only sorry.
So basically you get like what are the 5 things about this person. Now I haven't seen this guy's resume at all, right? And I'm the hiring manager. I'll just know like top 3 soft skill, certification, how many experience this person has, what kind of experience this person has, what are the roles that this person has done, and the average tenure at companies, right? So there was this question by Sumit sir also, cover letter, right? If cover letter has something important, this comes here, but 99% of the time, we don't use cover letter in any kind of parameter, right? It is one of the data field which has been there, but nobody uses it because nobody has time to read those cover letter, right? And I'll get like different from different software which does your all the screening, right? Soft skill screening or technical skill screening. I'll get all the values here. And see, this guy is like from Stanford and RISD. I'll get all the things and the things which are a little different, right? Which is this guy knows these 3 things which are relevant to my company, right? And I'll get like what was this experience, right? Even I'm not getting all the 3 line or 5 line you have written because those got churned into something like this. So this is what a recruiter gets, right? Now, now the question was what you should know about the company. The first thing is you should know about yourself. Second, what do you know about the company is about the about of that company, like what that company does and what it can broadly expect you that you can get from the job qualification, the requirements, right? But nobody will judge you whether you know about that requirement or not, because they are not think from the hiring manager's perspective, right? They're not trying to rattle you to know that whether you know about Facebook or not. Do you know about Facebook sales division or not? You're not supposed to know that, right? That is why the first 1 month is there where they do the orientation, where they do tell you about everything. If you're supposed to know that, then they won't do that, right? So you don't have to know about all those things in detail.
One thing I can add here with respect to Amazon is I've seen Amazon doesn't like same. I think they don't expect you to know everything about the company, but there's one peculiar thing about Amazon which they really care about is like how you demonstrate like Amazon leadership principle in your past experience or even in your like school life or wherever you have done projects. So although it's not explicitly stated, for Amazon, if you're applying, like it's good to know what leadership principles they follow, and based on your role that you're applying, you can kind of gauge which of them will be important for the interviewer, and there will be definitely questions on that. Like it will be not explicit, but you can kind of you'll kind of get the sense that what information the interviewer is trying to extract, and try to cater your answer in that fashion. You may not know which leadership principle they are looking for, but at least you can give them the data points from what you think is important.
Excellent point, Suraj. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. So, Archit, we can go to the next question.
Sure. There is one question that has been asked by more than one person. That is that do you think that it's advisable to tailor your resume for every job that you are applying? and because that would be like a very tedious task. So that should you like find out what keywords does this job requirement need, and then go and like edit your resume for every application. Do you advise that, Samir?
Yeah. I'll tell you why, right? This is different from two kind of people. One who has, like, let's say 2 to 3 years of experience, right? They don't have much experience. They haven't done too many projects for that company, so their resume will be very shorter, right? But let's say somebody has 10, 15 years of experience, right? As Gajendra sir was telling that he has like 3-page long resume, right? And that is apt also. If somebody works in IT consulting and they have been working every 6 months, something or different, they will have lot of projects, right? And then there is a company, like, let's say Sumit sir was saying that payments company, right, which where he's trying to get that job, right? If that job requirement is, let's say, money transfer service, right, and you have done some projects on money transfer service, your resume should reflect that rather than all the different payment services, because that's where the gist of the situation is, right? The requirement says, uh, they know, like, you have worked 25 years, right? You have seen the legacy system to the newest system, right? But they just want to know in the resume, and the system just will care about what the person has put in the requirement and what you are showing them. So it is always suggested that tailor your resume depending on the job, but it is more for the people who is like 10 and 12 years of experience. Uh, People under 10 or 10, 12
I
years of
see.
experience, they might not have that many projects at all.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. And how often switching jobs is discouraged, and how does it impact your resume score?
Yeah, so it is, again, it is very, very job specific thing. Like, let's say I have a startup and I want to hire someone in my startup, right? I look for the people who have startup experience. And the problem with the startup experience is startups rise and die, right? So if there was a startup which was after 2 years, it went away, right? You will have only 2 years of experience. And again, little perspective onto the things. We have a gig economy system now, right? I can be data scientist in the morning and I can be a social media influencer in the evening, right? And by night, I can be a musician itself. And I can earn money from all three streams, right? So it basically depends, like, it's not about the job anymore. It's more about the skills. If you have the skills, and I have seen this trend, right? Let's say Facebook, right? Facebook fired people who had like more than 15 years of experiences, right? There's this company, Slalom, right? They fired people who had like 15 to 17 years of experience, and 3 months down the lane, they hired them back, right? So it's very bizarre in the environment right now, because people are looking to get people who have skills and who can sustain in your company for next 2 years, 3 years, till they understand where they want to pivot, right? So it's often, whether you have like continuous switches or less switch, it doesn't matter, because as I guess Sumit sir was telling, that it is about you at the end of the day, right? You came here to earn money, not to be loyal to that company. So it doesn't matter. If you switched 5 jobs and you are earning some X amount of dollar that you wanted to earn, go earn that, because it won't change how the system will look at you.
Just one more point to add to that. Great point, Sanjay. So basically, from my experience, I have changed job on an average every 4 years. Okay. So this company, my current company, when I applied anywhere else, nobody asked me about that. But my current company, this is more like a legacy kind of company where people come and they stick to it, and then they stick forever. I mean, they stick for generations and generations, right? So they did ask me, they raised a concern that you are switching jobs so frequently. What is the guarantee that you are not going to, leave this job? I said, there is no guarantee. I mean, if the job is great, I will stick here. I have left all the job because I didn't like it after that. The position, the research type of work that I was doing, I didn't enjoy after a while. So I left. So it doesn't matter. I mean, still they hired me. So it doesn't matter that how frequently. And also, if your boss is not good, then there is no point in staying there for any longer. I mean, you just quit right away, right? So
How are you doing for
Yeah,
time?
thank you. So we have just like few minutes remaining. So I have a couple of questions, last couple of questions from Muzir sir. Uh, I don't know if this is like true, but is there an option that you can select that that you don't want your resume to be selected by an AI or a screen by an AI? The question that he has asked is, when we apply, should we select the option that okay, I consent that my resume should be screened by an AI? Is there an opt-out feature? And the second one is, how relevant is the skill section in the application? Do people actually look at it, or is just for the ATS?
Yeah, so there are some data laws, right? Which is, one is California law, which is the most prominent data law in the US right now. So it states that if you have over 25 to 50 applicant in that state, you have to give them option where they can say whether you can use their data or not. So most of the companies give this option if they are opening the position in the California, that you can screen the resume with AI or not. Now, the second piece, the flip side of the coin is, let's say there are 10,000 applications from California, right? Nobody has that much time to read through all the resumes, right? So, and we all are human, right? We tend to take the shortcuts, right? So, like, as from the recruiter's perspective, I might not look at it, right? There might be few recruiters who might look at all the resumes, but uh, I might not look at it. And if you are just worried that if it is getting screened by AI and you won't cut for the job, trust me, you won't even cut for the job when it will be screened by human also. Because machine can be little lenient, human won't be. Because as a human, we come with our biases, right? We'll always have bias. Somebody says, let's say, and this is a true story, right? All the IT people, if you look at your company, most of them are Indian, right? Somebody says, oh, I have all the Indians in my company and I don't want to hire another brown guy, right? Now, just think if your resume is being read by that person, he won't think like machine. He'll think it like a brown guy's resume, right? So that would be a problem anyhow.
Hey guys, thank you so much. This is Muzir here. I haven't
Thank
met
you so much.
most of you guys, so just wanted to say hello. And again, I don't know how many of you know. I spoke to Rahul sir, but I don't think I've spoken to anyone else. I'm 1995 pass out from electronics, Muzir Beg. And I think one of the Samir, the reason for my question was, it's always a confusion. Should I select it or should not select it? And again, I think you're pretty much right, that because no matter what, they're still going to bypass me in case if they don't want to. So I think I have left it open for most cases. So I have opted in rather than opted out. And the other thing is, sometimes I have used the technique or tactical way that you may or may not have an liberty to customize your resume every single time because of the time gap and the depth of intensiveness that you have already spent on your resume to kind of formulate it. So I have often used the skill section to add some of those keywords that they are really looking for. So my question was, do they even really look at it? Because in one of the company, what I tried is I put down my resume as is with a different email address, and immediately it was out of the queue and it was in inactive status. In second day, when I saw the status, I used a different email address and added all the keywords, and I got a call. So how relevant is that? I think that's
Yeah, so that's where I started, right, sir? So what happens is, like, this is also evolving, right? We are also evolving the software. We are also adding more intelligence to the software, right? So the way I showed the console, it will pick up the skill that is relevant to the job, right? Now, let's say there are a few ATS which is like 3 years old or 2 years old, right? They work mostly on the keyword matcher. Now there are ATS which is like, let's say, a month old, right? That is more on the contextual engineering side, which is they will read through your resume and try to understand what the word you have written, does it actually have any meaning or not, right? So you are right. Like, if there is something which is way older, like older ATS system, it might pick up just on the keywords, right? But what the presentation was for the future, right? Because they are going to upgrade themselves. So that's where the contextual piece will come. But yes, skills section should be there, because there are some times, because let's say you know Python, you know C++, you know Java, right? You might have done a project which is software engineering and you don't want to write whether you did Python, Java, or C++, right? The scanner will just look at the resume where you have written that word and will pick it up and will try to match whether you can do a development of a software with Python, C++, Java, or something, right? So that's how it does. It does relate, and the skill section is important.
Great, great. I think we have had very good questions were answered, and maybe we can wrap up at this time. It's getting late in India, and also here the weekend is there. So thank you so much, Sumit, Gajendra, and Samir. I mean, this is definitely something that I'm going to go back and watch again. So for all the participants, the recording will be available. I will post the link in the group so that those who could not join, they will also be able to see the recording. And one thing that Samir mentioned reminded me of Goldman Sachs CEO. He actually does the job of CEO during the day, and he's a DJ in the evening. I mean, could not be more contrasted. But I posted the link in the chat. So with that, I think, and I can see some claps. Absolutely, I'm blown away by this contribution by the three panelists. And Archit, thank you for your coordination, moderation. By the way, Archit is a rising star in our alumni, very active, and we definitely will be having more from him in the future, and maybe he can be a panelist in one of the future ones. So I would be sending a feedback form on the US group. If you can give me a feedback on this, and also suggestion for any future talks you would like to hold, and if you would like to present something. So with that, I think we can wrap this up. Again, thank you so much for all the panelists and everyone who attended. Let's take this NITRUS Talks to next level. Okay.
So, Rahul sir, just one question.
Oh,
So
okay.
thanks everyone. I mean, we can't say enough to kickstart this. And whenever I see Dr. Gajendra on the screen, I always get goosebumps. Our own postdoc, always inspiring. And then the sort of energy that Samir and others have brought up, that's also amazing. One question is, how many, I mean, we all are benefiting from your talk, but is there a way to expand this so the people who are in the need of this talk most can attend this session and ask live question? What can we do to take the
definitely.
next
That
step?
is why I said, this is just the first talk.
Yeah.
I have a vision of having several talks like this. I have talked to about 5 people who will be speaking. In fact, I can do the spoiler right now. Gajendra has agreed to talk on something very interesting to us, and about health and nutrition. So that talk is coming up. I've spoken to some celebrity alumni, and they are also going to talk. And if you have suggestions in the feedback form, definitely talk about it. And for a specific thing, I think what we can do is, let's say somebody has a question for Samir. Now, we don't want to inundate him with all the questions. Maybe he likes, but I don't know. So I would like to keep that in mind. They have a life. So, but we can still ask 1 or 2 questions or some help. But yeah, great point, Vijay.
Yeah, what I was saying is maybe we can reach out to our NIT alumni so and see if they can bring some of the final year student or some of those as well.
Yeah.
And for question and answer, I think we can probably adopt one of those forums where you can ask the question upfront about the topic and people can vote, so we can really focus on, based on the time, which top 10 question to pick up.
Yeah, very good point. Actually, Archit is working very hard with the innovation cell. So one of the future talks we are going to do is about how do we help these final 2nd, 3rd, 4th year students in their pursuit, for either MS or job, and they will be definitely very much interested. So we are in touch with the alumni cell. I think there are a few people there who came. Saurabh Gupta came. Hemashri is one who talked to me. So we are definitely working on that. And your point about questions and rating them is very good. Often it happens in my companies I have seen. If you have any software like that, if you remember any open source, let me know. We can do it. Right now, all I did was just a spreadsheet, and some people put questions there. So what we can definitely improve it. And let
Yeah.
that be part of your feedback.
Sure, I will. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, excellent. Good to see you after so many days.
Yes.
Gupta ji, good to see you.
Yeah, he was featured in one of the when one of the CMs, I think whether it was Raman Singh or Bhupesh Baghel, one of them came. So our local Chhattisgarh group, we went and felicitated him on that stage. So, and then in the local newspaper, they interviewed him. So we have many celebrities here also. Okay, guys. Anything else, or should we just wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up. But one point, Rahul sir, just wanted to make, if any current student, NIT student, if they are interested in pursuing PhD and if they have any specific question, please feel free to direct them to me.
Excellent. Archit, I think that can go to Samir in not Samir Ranjan, but Samir Vajpayee, I think, and Hemashri and all that. They can definitely. Thanks, Gajendra, for this offer. Okay, guys, let's end this. And Samir is the owner of this call, so maybe when you have the recording link, send it to me.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Thanks, bye. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, everybody.